So the Mail and Guardian, a leading voice in the country's media space, has officially opened nominations for its highly anticipated 2026 200 Young South Africans initiative. This annual program shines the spotlight on exceptional young individuals aged between 18 and 35 who are making significant contributions across various sectors and demonstrating remarkable leadership in shaping the nation's future. It's a call to recognize the innovators, changemakers, and influential voices driving progress in this country. Aspiring nominees and those who wish to put forward deserving candidates are encouraged to submit their nominations before the deadline, which is Friday, the 13th of March. This prestigious recognition celebrates the dedication and impact of young South Africans, offering a platform to acknowledge their achievements and inspire further excellence. Let's talk a bit about it. I'm joined now by Japhet Ncube, Editor-in-Chief of Mail and Guardian, as well as 2025 candidate Dikeledi Moabelo. Good afternoon to the both of you. I don't know if we have you on the line, Japhet. All right, let me start with you. Just overall, this idea of 200 young South Africans, a lot of the times we lament a lack of leadership in this country and question whether there's a pipeline of leadership. I suppose that's the space you are playing in, is it? Is that the idea behind the 200 young South Africans?
Good afternoon, Tulas. Absolutely. That's the whole point of this project. I'll tell you now that there's plenty of young people between the ages of 18 and 35 who are doing amazing work in their fields across agriculture, technology, civil society, and so on and so forth. To show you how big this project is, last year we received 4,000 entries, 4,000 nominations, over 4,000 nominations, and we trimmed that down to the 200. So you can imagine how many other people didn't make it, but who are equally as good.
Yeah. So the project is approaching its 20th anniversary, Japhet, if I stick with you for a moment. That says you perhaps over a period of time have been able to gauge its impact. What do you gauge to have been its impact? I know that a lot of the people who've been honored in that way put it in their CVs, but I suppose impact goes beyond just bolstering their own CVs, but its impact on society, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at some of the alumni, people like Tebe Kalafeng, the former FNB CEO, Michael Brown, people like Pindi Lebalen, who was a DG in the presidency. You look at Professor Marwala, who was Vice Chancellor at UJ. The list goes on and on. You can see the impact those people have played in their communities and in their societies. Deserving alumni, deserving nominees, they continue to do this great work that they're doing in their areas.
Yeah. And let me turn to Dikeledi in studio with me. Dikeledi, so you are one of those young people that were part of this process for the 200 young South Africans. Tell me about your own journey with the 200 young South Africans and how the work that you do with House of LeBron Foundation earned you that nomination and consideration to be part of these young people.
Thank you so much. It's been quite a journey. I started being on the ground way before I could even think that you can study community development. We've reached out to so many schools, plus minus 10,000 locally, and Botswana and Swaziland and Nigeria. Being amongst prestigious 200 young South Africans who are making a great impact in South Africa has been such a blessing. It has accelerated my journey as a community development practitioner. It has opened so many doors. We are growing, and it has motivated me to also go study the degree, community development. So yeah.
Yeah. So what do these 200 young South Africans do over the course of a year? Japhet refers to those who have been part of it as alumni. Yeah. So I imagine that there must be a community, and I imagine that must be important, the ability to network with other leaders in other sectors, share ideas, possible collaborations?
Yeah. So what we do during the course of the year, we do, for myself, I do community development programs that include youth empowerment development programs. We also have an exciting program that we take young people to the parliament that want to take space and leadership. We call it youth political participation, where we take them to the union buildings or we take them to the parliamentary settings where they debate about the GNU and the current affairs of the country. So that's what we do. We go to different schools, we do food parcels, we do sanitary towels, toiletry packs, and we bring in speakers that started from the bottom and they've made it out of the disadvantaged communities, so to say.
What's the drive for you, Dikeledi, before I go back to Japhet? What drives you? I imagine that you say that the honor of being among the 200 top young South Africans is an honor, but I don't imagine you do it for that honor.
Yeah, I think it started with me. Doing it heals the younger girl in me who used to think I wanted things like this to happen to me when I was young, and they never happened. So I'm giving today because I lacked. I am empowering today because I lacked empowerment. I don't want young people of today to go through the challenges that I went through, of not having sanitary towels, of not being empowered enough. I've always wanted to be a speaker and that, but I've never gotten that, empowerment at a very young age. I've realized it at a very later stage in my life, where I went to aviations and I started doing careers that were not aligning with who I actually am, because I didn't believe that I would become that. So I don't want them to be lost and waste time. I want them to know who they are and understand what they want to do at a very young age.
Yeah. Japhet, let me come back to you. All of this you are doing within the context of a much changed media landscape that has gone mostly digital. Some of us are old enough to remember when this list was published as part of the Mail and Guardian. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there used to be a booklet that was published with it. What has been that change in as far as the ability to bring to life the stories of these 200 young leaders and the various sectors in which they are making an impact?
Yeah, thanks, Sulas. So now we are also digital. In fact, we're going to run this special edition as a digital edition as well, apart from it being just a print edition. Like we did last year with The Power of Women, which is another project that's very successful at the Mail and Guardian. So you will be able to interact with them and be able to see their work on the digital platforms, on both the Mail and Guardian online and on social media, including X and Instagram.
And Japhet, what's the follow-through in terms of your alumni community? Perhaps a couple of years down the line, a decade down the line, to ensure that they remain engaged and committed in the various spheres of society in which they are active?
That's what we are planning on doing for this year. As you just mentioned, we've been doing this since 2006, so it's 20 years of the Young South Africans. And this year, it's a special year because it's 50 years since June 16, 1976. So the theme is honoring the legacy, shaping tomorrow. So we expect that a lot of our alumni will be able to come and join us, and that this group of very dedicated and talented South Africans can also begin to inspire the others to join this community moving forward.
Yeah. Dikeledi, I've got two questions for you, then I'm happy for us to wrap it up. There's one of the projects you mentioned has to do with young South Africans being engaged with the politics of the country, the governance of the country. Yeah. I find that to be fascinating because we are always lamenting the lack of the youth voice as far as driving the electoral outcomes and shaping the governance of the country in that way. What has been your experience with trying to get young people engaged with, understanding their power in the governance of the country?
Like I said, I took it from me as a child. I needed somebody to hold me and say, you can be in parliament, you can be a minister, you can do this. But it was just far-fetched to dream. It was like, you are dreaming, it's not possible. You're from, the dusty streets of my melody. Like, what are you doing in parliament? So you go to school, you sit down with these kids. They just need to be listened to, and they want to be leaders. And they don't judge them, don't rush them. Just sit down and listen to them and get to understand where they come from. And it's easy for me that way, to empower them. And it hasn't been easy. It's very difficult to work with our government. Sometimes they don't offer us space. It's a lot of cancellation up and down. But when you know what you want to achieve, you keep on going back and back and back, and seeing them celebrate and being inspired and giving us amazing feedback, it keeps me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've answered my last question in a way, because I was going to say there are those who hold the notion that young people are future leaders as opposed to leaders of the here and now.
Yeah.
But I think you've answered it in a way. What would be your best response to someone who views young people as perhaps these are people we will listen to in future? Right now, Sipi is a man. We've got a lot to deal with, you know.
I always say when I approach schools, I always say they speak today, they lead tomorrow. So you just need to, lend them an ear and listen to them and move with them. I promise they're not that difficult.
Yeah.
Make it fun for them. Talk to them about you're gonna get content. It's gonna be you're gonna shoot for your TikTok, and they take pictures in Parliament. They paste it in their bedrooms, and they look at it every day, and they're like, I was on the same chair that our president was sitting, and I can also become that. It's possible. It's no longer far-fetched or like a dream that is impossible to them.
All right. The passion that I share with you, I would want to see as many young people on the voters' roll as possible, taking up that power.
Yeah, that's what we train them to become.
An electoral revolution of sorts.
Yeah, that's what we're taking them, because, there's a lot of them would say, oh, what are we voting for anyway? But we want them to understand politics, that, politics are everything that you do in your life.
Yeah.
The toilet that you flush is politics.
Yeah.
The school that you go to is politics. The food that you consume, for the food to get to your house, is politics. Yeah. So if you don't know what's going on in the country and you're not invested, who will run the country tomorrow?
Politics is too important to be left
Very
to
important.
politicians. Japheth, a parting shot from you. Talk to me about the nominations process. Someone watching this and saying, I know a young person out in far-flung parts of the country doing great work that deserves recognition. How do we go about with those nominations? And what's the criteria? What are we looking for?
So the criteria is quite simple. It's young people under 35, so it's between the ages of 18 and 35. They have to be South African citizens, and they need to have a proven track record of the work that they are doing in their areas. They should demonstrate clear vision for the future in their careers in the spaces that they work. And they should be able to provide us with some examples of some of the work that they've done, the impactful projects that they are doing in their communities. Once they have all those details, they can go to the Mail and Guardian website, and then they can send us their nominations. They still have time until the 13th of March, after which we close the nominations, and then we go through the rigorous process of selecting the final 200. It's a long, long process, but a process that's worth going through.
All right. Thank you for your time this afternoon, Chairman. That's Japheth Matanda-Ncube, who is Editor-in-Chief of the Mail and Guardian. And of course, in studio, we were joined by Dikeledi Moabelo, one of those 200 young South Africans of 2025.